What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I am one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam.
I am the other one of your co-hosts, Veritas, and we are here with special guest, DarthMicrotransaction. Welcome, my friend. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Dude, I'm so stoked for you to be here. When I saw on Twitter like a week ago that you tweeted something along the lines of like, "Oh my God, I just discovered Escape from Tarkov. Like, how did I not hear about this before?" I thought that was like a wild crossover because some of the games that I've historically kind of played post Tarkov, Diablo, Path of Exile, were some of your, I would say, more main content over the last few years. And I've been a fan of yours, I think probably ever since. Obviously, you'll know your history better than me, but I know a few years back you had. It might have been around the Diablo 4 launch days, maybe. I think you had a few videos that maybe Asmongold reacted to, and
yeah, that happened for sure.
Yeah, and I think that was at least one of the contributing factors to you blowing up. Surprisingly, I think it's very, very rare that when people get reacted to by big creators that really there's like a meaningful impact that has. But I think because you, I mean, honestly, just because you're like a down to earth dude with like based as fuck takes on pretty much every game that you talk about, and you're just overall like a really likable guy. I think that was one of the rare cases where like a giant content creator reacting to somebody didn't just translate into more views for them, but actually the thing that every React content creator sort of hides behind. The idea that, you know, like, oh, I'm helping all these people out, when usually it doesn't, but for you it did, and honestly I'm happy to see that. So
well, thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been an enjoyable last few years for sure.
That's awesome. What kind of brought you from that kind of, because we've talked a lot on the podcast. Veritas got deep into Diablo and was a Diablo head way back in the day and got into Path of Exile. And we've talked a ton on the podcast about how I come from like the opposite. I missed that whole thing. I wasn't a PC gamer at all until I got into Tarkov, basically. And so I missed like some of those really classic, you know, like Diablo 2 as like a really, you know, in the Hall of Fame of games. So I've kind of missed that whole thing. How did you basically reverse that? How did you go from like Diablo, Path of Exile? What was the bridge over to Tarkov?
Ooh, the bridge over the Tarkov. That's a good question. By the way, am I too quiet for you guys? People are telling me my mic's low.
You're good for us.
Yeah.
If you need to like adjust anything on your end, feel free. But
but
for us, you're fine.
Okay, I'll fix it here after I answer the question. So the bridge over the Tarkov was, well, I was kind of in a bit of a low because like there's between the ARPG seasons, you know, it's seasonal.
Yeah.
Like Path of Exile is kind of what I've been playing lately, but they're taking like a long time between their seasons, and there's not really anything to do. And I was just kind of looking for a game to play, and I see a lot of other people, like I think Pestily playing PoE, etc. A lot of the Tarkov people in Jimro seem, like you said yourself, seem to have a bit of that crossover. So because of that, the game was on my radar, and then a few of my friends played, and they were trying to like, you know, talk me into giving it a shot here. And so I just gave it a shot. I was gonna play like the Grand Theft Auto campaign or something else because I was just kind of bored looking for something to do. But I'm like, I'll try this game, and honestly, I didn't think I was gonna like it at all. Like that was my guess, because I didn't think I was gonna enjoy it at all. But I think the mix of like the dopamine hits of you know, the loot mixed with kind of the horror game aspect of you don't really know where you're gonna get shot at all was you know, that's kind of what sucked me in a little bit. It's more fun than I thought it was going to be, and I just kind of kept playing. And everyone, yeah, it reminded me a bit of PoE when you start playing it. Every single person is telling you like you got to download, you know, like a million different guides, or like use all these websites and like do this thing, or only play this way, or only have this gun, or only go this map, or whatever. You know, like it's the same thing, same experience in Path of Exile. Like if you play the game, you're going to have a ton of that. And I never really do that stuff. I just kind of want to like play the game. Like I still haven't done the hideout. Everyone's like, you gotta do the hideout. It's like I'm not really, you know, I'm sure at some point I'll do that.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like started playing it blind, and I mean, I play with a couple people now and then.
For sure.
But yeah, for the most part, that's just kind of how I got into it.
Ooh, if I can't imagine. That's something I didn't really think about either, too. So this is why we wanted you on, because you are a gamer you know what you're talking about, but there are very few people that kind of cross paths with us that are real gamers that are also like virgins to Tarkov.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have to get like his early
Yeah.
opinion, and then maybe like, if you're still playing Tarkov a year or two or whatever from now, we'll have to get you back on to see what your thoughts are. But I never thought about how hard it would be to actually really even play the game and also do the quests and also deal with everything else, plus trying to do your hideout, because there's a million things you have to keep track of and have to loot, and you need like an Excel spreadsheet and a checklist. And yeah, I can't imagine that would be trivial.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't, I'm playing it and I'm missing a million things, and everyone's telling me, oh, you're missing this, you're missing that, you're walking right by all the juicy loot. It's like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss for me. So I was told as soon as I log on the game, there's a million reasons to hate the game. Like, you're going to get zoned by cheaters and all this. Like, I heard all of this shit immediately. It's like, I haven't experienced that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know when I'm getting killed by a cheater. I don't know when I'm missing it. I don't know that I'm not getting experience faster because I'm not doing with it. I don't know any of that. So for me, like, the only thing I'm seeing is log into a game, hope I don't get shot. Where's the other dude? Try to shoot him. Oh, he has a cool gun. I mean, that's all it is for me. I hear that's the best. Like, the first 100 hours is the best, pretty much. I don't know if you would agree with that. But
yes, 100%. And that's why it's so fascinating and like exciting to almost hear your perspective, because we've both kind of gone through our journeys of like getting really jaded and burnt out of Tarkov. I still play Tarkov. That's still my main game. Veritas kind of like hung that up a while ago.
I haven't played in 2 years.
Yeah. But and you also you were on for probably like a year before I was. But it's so fascinating how that happens. Well, one, I had never thought about that, where like it's funny how that's what I think of when I look at like PoE, when someone shows me is it Path of Exile, the one with like the like skill
giant
sheet
skills.
that's like 7,000 by 7,000 skills.
Yes, sir.
I'd never thought about that in reverse, where like if I made a chart of all the quest items you need, it would probably be that big. But
Tarkov doesn't have it in game.
And Tarkov doesn't have it in game. So it's funny I never thought about that, where it kind of is like some of those really more complex games, maybe like an ARPG, in that where like if I were to hop into PoE, I would be so just like drowning and have no idea what I'm doing. But that's almost the point. It's funny how like, if you ask most Tarkov people, it's funny that you've experienced basically both of those sides, where people have told you that the first 100 hours is the most fun, and at the same time, like, well, you're missing this, you're missing that, you're missing this, you're missing that. It's funny how we just naturally like try to almost speed run the fun out of it, where it's like, stop exploring. Yeah. This is where you need to go. Don't use that, use this. But at the same time, that is that exploration, that newness. Tarkov did an event a while ago where they just released a new map without telling anybody, and it was a really small one, and it was just like for an event. It was underneath Shoreline, and it was like boom. And I remember telling Veritas, I was like, this is the closest I've been to being new again, because like we all were like, what are we doing down here? Nobody knows what corner. There's like traps, and I was telling him about how amazing it felt to be new again in that like moment. And then of course it was only like a couple days before everybody min-maxed it. But so it's interesting. Yeah, I love that you're taking that approach. You're not like, let me watch 600 guides and figure it out. It's like, let's just figure it out as we're going. That's gaming. That's gaming.
Maybe if I wasn't streaming, maybe it'd be different. Like maybe I would, start playing it, and then my buddy would tell me something, and I'd ask him some questions, and I would Google something. But like I find it more personally entertaining to like not know and then figure it out or be surprised. But also I think it's like way more enjoyable to watch when it's like, because you guys are already experts, right? So it's like, why would you watch a guy trying to become an expert when you can just watch experts already? Like the only reason I would assume anyone would watch me play the game is because I don't know what I'm doing. So like, like you say, like, why would I speed run my way out of the point of what I'm doing? Like I want to see, plus the other part of it was people kept telling me like, this game is impossible if you do not look up stuff like that. I've been told that like dozens of times. You literally factually cannot play the game unless you Google. Like that's what people are telling. But the people said the same shit about PoE.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you're right. Like, I mean, you will ruin your character by the end of it, or you will, I guess the equivalent of that, this is, I am literally right now completely out of money and have like almost nothing left to sell. And, people are like, time to reset your account, bud. But it's like, don't I want to get to that point? Like,
Yeah.
don't you want to like hit the point so I know what people are talking about? If I avoid all of the pitfalls, is that not part of the game?
Yeah.
Like learning the pitfalls, you know, or at
That's
least
the entire
experiencing it?
thing.
Yep.
That's the entire thing. Like what you're doing is it's the most pure, relatable
Yeah.
experience, I think. You know, because not everyone has a group of 5 friends in Discord. Not everyone wants to, you know, if they've only got an hour a night or whatever, they're not going to spend 40 minutes of it on a wiki or watching YouTube guides or whatever, right? They just want to jump in, play, vibe.
Yep.
Sometimes people don't even care much about quests. Sometimes they don't care about the hideout. Sometimes they don't, you know, they just, there's so much to do in the game. There's so much to explore that, I mean, how many hours do you think you have by now? Do you have any idea?
Good question. Okay, so I think it's like day 8, 9, or 10, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Lost track. And I'm typically doing like I'd say 6 hours now a day, but before I was doing like 10 or 12. So I would assume I'm north of 50 for sure.
Okay.
If I had to
Okay.
guess.
So you're like halfway to being able to form an opinion on it if it was Starfield. That's what I learned. That's
Yeah, I played that
that's
one
a deep
too.
cut.
Yeah.
But what's your rating out of 10 for Starfield? I have to know.
4. I think it's a generous 4. I to be honest with you, look right here. You see this? This is that collector's edition with the watch right there. Okay.
Oof.
So like, I mean, I played it.
Yeah, yeah.
And the problem with it is it's like, if you played Knights of the Old Republic, you know what like a good story, good acting, good character is.
Yeah.
And I would argue like better development of a character. So you go from that, which is a game like forever ago, and it's like humans didn't exactly lose the ability to be creative or do good writing along the way. So it's like, okay, so shouldn't we have all of the same level of like ability to write and create games and like come up with concepts and then also the tech? But everyone's focused on the tech. We lost, some of the games anyway have lost like the original part of it, which is why I find it way more interesting back like the older games typically, because I feel like it was kind of 50-50 on like people focused on like the art of the game and the character development, design, the voice acting, like the human element, and then the tech was kind of like whatever it happened to be at the time. But now it's like a lot of stuff seems like almost tech showcases.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're a small development team, okay? Starfield was just a little
indie dev company called Bethesda. Yeah. That's funny.
So are there anything back to Tarkov? Are there any things that have stood out to you that as a new player that contrasted with it's understandable that I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z because I'm new and the game's complicated, but are there anything that stuck out to you as like, this shouldn't be like this? This is a problem.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like absolutely.
Give me the list. Give it all.
So like, first of all, the queuing system is the worst I've ever played in any game. I mean, I'm sitting for like 5 to 8 minutes to get a match. Like it's fucking brutal. Okay. And it's like, I don't understand why. And then sometimes people are like, oh yeah, by the way, that's a bugged queue. You literally have to, and don't hit the back button. The one that's built into the game. Like don't hit that. All F4 and then clear your cache because, for whatever reason, if you play the game, it just destroys itself. So you have to like make sure you wipe your cache, then go back into the game in the right way and hit the right buttons in the right order. And then sometimes the fucking flea market just decides not to work. And so I'm seeing they're trying to do that. It's like, hit the Y button, don't hit buy, hit the Y button. It's like, what are we talking about? Like, can I just play the game? So it seems like the game itself wants me to not play it. Like when you're in the actual game, it's fun. But it's like, here's a new player. It's like I log into the game. I'm like, here I am. DM the Timmy. Can't wait to shoot someone with my fancy new gun. Boom, I'm dead. 2 seconds later. Okay, great. Well, that's fine. I don't tilt. I'll log back in. 30 minutes later, here I am in the map. Okay, here I am. Boom, get shot again. Okay, well now I'm fighting. So I'm fighting the UI more than I'm fighting players. It feels like when I'm actually playing the game. So like for me, like that's just a huge out. Like anyone who's like a casual person who pick up this game will quit that shit immediately because like, they would just queue in the Call of Duty, get a match, boom, they'll go play Fortnite, whatever.
Yep.
They don't give a shit. They're trying to shoot people. So it's like the actual gunfights are sick, and like the sound and immersion is sick. And everyone's telling me like turn off all of the graphics and make it look like a goddamn cartoon where you have this brightness everywhere so you can actually see people and remove the vegetation. It's like I don't want to do that. The game looks great. Version's great. The sound's great. It's a cool game when you get to play it. So it's like that's the issue I've had primarily.
Yeah.
I think I that was the only reason why I managed to produce 105 songs in the few years while I was streaming, literally because of all the downtime in between raids. I just made music while we were waiting.
Yep.
That's a testament to how little you get to play the fucking game when you're trying to actually play the game.
That is so like cathartic to hear, because I mean that is just like, it's been just a burden. And yeah, it's so funny you coming in right now, because I mauled all the time. Like I'll crash out all the time when I'm playing, because I think, like I was going through the other day and I was like, I genuinely think there's some unique bug that you wouldn't know about unless you just play the game a ton on every UI menu. Like the flea market can bug, the gun building screen can bug, where like it's not going to buy two of the same item, but it'll tell you. So you keep assembling your gun, but it's not really assembled. At the trader screen is bugged, where like you can put stuff in and click sell, but it won't sell. So you have to take one of the things out and then put it back in, and then you'll be able to sell the whole thing. The queue system is bugged, where you can be matching for 10 minutes and then have to alt F4, but don't press the back button. And I was like, I think every layer, every page of this book has words missing. And it's just like, man, exactly. Someone who's new, who's not like streaming it, who's not like incentivized to keep going because it's fun and it's fun content. It's like, how do you get over that? How do you crest that hill as someone who's just got a couple hours a week to game? Like, oh.
Well, and it's a problem because, like, I'll give you an example, like, just happened today. So, like, I'm walking, it's the 100% boss on Woods or whatever.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm walking in the rubber mill, and then, like, I'm fully fine. Everything's great. And then suddenly my stomach's just black. Like, I just gone. And like, I have no, like, what just happened? Like, literally, I didn't hear shit, nothing. I'm like, oh. So there's 1,000 theories in chat about what happened. Oh, well, your wounds reopen. Like, no, I had full HP. Like, there's no wound didn't reopen and just suddenly make me, 100 owed in my stomach for no reason. What had actually happened, and people were like, some people were saying this is what happened and guessing, and no one actually knows. What actually happened is apparently I got shot.
Yeah.
And it just bugged and you can't hear it.
Yep.
And so I got sniped from somewhere, and it's just, congratulations, you no longer have a stomach. And there's because of a bug. And it's like, that's kind of important information. Like, I should know, I should probably be able to know a bullet went through my stomach.
Yep. Well, here's the thing. It could be a bug, but here's another thing that'll blow your mind. Currently in the game, any weapon that is suppressed, if they are 101 meters away from you, you don't hear the gunshot sound. The gunshots only go to 100 meters for suppressed weapons. For all suppressed weapons. So anything past that, so on Woods especially, if he was just like 103 meters away and shot you, then it doesn't play the .mp3 sound. And so
your guy doesn't make any noise, like ugh, like nothing. You just
sometimes
gone.
Yeah. So there's the thing you'll learn, if you haven't already, is that there are 1,000,001 like old wives' tales about things that happened in the game. There used to be a bug in the game where everyone would start a raid, and this was the meta thing that did. Start a raid, everybody would drop all their shit on the ground, like armor, helmet, everything, just to pick it because the ammo might be bugged, the armor might be bugged. You used to have to people used to think that you would have to repair your face shield, go into like an offline raid, come out of an offline raid. Otherwise, like the face shield wouldn't repair. That was like a whole thing. There's a million things around when you die. There's this post raid like stat screen, right? That says how you were. To this day, I haven't asked and I haven't checked, but I would probably bet money that it's still a thing that no one knows what any of that means. When you get hit with if you see that there's like 3 hits to your chest, you might have only heard 1 gunshot. The question is, was it 1 gunshot?
Oh, yeah.
Was it 1 bullet that fragmented into 3 pieces? Did it count the hit in the armor and then the hit into your chest and then it fragmented? Were there actually 3 shots and you just didn't hear them?
Yep.
So there's always this speculation. There was an issue with the scav bosses where, like if a bullet does, I don't know, let's say 74 damage or whatever, and you have 80, HP. How much HP do you have in your thorax?
Is it 85 now, I think? I don't know.
Yeah, so you would get shot once and you would die, and like technically it shouldn't kill you unless it fragmented or whatever, but like basically, what was it that people were saying that like the scav bosses
Yeah,
they hit you multiple times with one bullet.
Yeah.
So no one knows what's going on at any time, and the game gives you just enough information
that think they know.
Yeah, and the game gives you just enough information to gaslight you into thinking that you have all the information when you might not. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind.
Yeah, it's a little janky for my like. So I'm from Alaska, right? So my ping is bad no matter what game I play. Like I'm north of 100 ping, like almost always. Every now and then I'll get lucky and have a 50 or 70 if I'm really lucky. Okay, but most of the time it's 100 plus. And so in this game, I'm like, oh, 130 ping, here we go, baby. And then people are like, oh no, that's actually an advantage. like lagging is good in this game. And so like if someone tells you in the game lagging is good, like there's a problem.
There's a problem.
So it's like, okay, well then when I heard that, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a million issues. Like I can just tell.
Yeah.
So what's your expectation? So like you said, the game's janky. That's like a truism for sure.
Yep.
There's the idea that Tarkov is the meme is that it's in beta. It's a beta.
Beta.
That's a phrase that hits differently for veterans than it does probably for someone like you, although I'm sure you've played a bunch of games that have been in beta for long periods of time and whatnot. But like, what does that mean to you? Or I guess a better question would be, what does the game feel like to you? Does it feel like a game that's like a complete game? Does it feel like a early access?
It feels like most of the games that are the best games in the world, which is it has it littered with a million issues. It's kind of dog shit in a way. But it has something to offer that is so good that even though it's kind of dog shit, you really want to play it anyway and you push through. So like most of the games that I've played are like that I really like are kind of like this. You know what I mean? So it's like immediately when I play it, I think like, oh, you need a tutorial to teach you penetration, all that shit. But I realized like, okay, like games like this that you get that are really, really involved in have to be really involved to make you want to continue to learn and play the game. Like EVE Online comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
It's like you have these types of games where it's like there's a million things you need to learn. And as you get more into it, it's the knowledge gap itself that is factually your weapon, not necessarily your actual weapon. So it's like when I think of that, I think of PoE, I think of EVE, I think of games like this. And it's like they're all kind of dog shit. Like there's problems with them. But at the same time, like you need people that what they're doing is more focused on developing this very niche type of game for the niche type of people that exactly want it. And the rest of it is like they're trying, you know what I mean? So a lot of times I'm more willing to forgive like these issues if the game itself isn't just a really bad version of another game. Like if it's something they're actually making, which there is kind of no comparison to, or other people start copying what they're doing and then try to eliminate the problems, that's when you know you have a good product. So that's what this seems like to me. Like, it seems like this is a fantastic, terrible game.
Yeah. Dude. And so I love that and agree. What are, basically flip side, what are those things? Like, what was one of the first moments where you were like, oh, shit, this game is good? Like, what is it? Because once again, as someone with 9,000 hours in the game, it's hard to put myself back into when I was new and why it felt so addicting. And the game has changed so much since I started playing. So someone that's new in 2025, I've been preaching that for so long where I'm like, dude, there's just something about this game, something special. But I'm so almost divorced from that opinion I formed back in 2018 when I bought it, that it is so fascinating to me that as someone as such as yourself that plays games, thousands and thousands of hours in games and has gone deep into games, that still in 2025, you hopped into this and you were like, ooh, like what were those moments? What is it about Tarkov that
I can give you an easy one.
beckons?
I mean, day one when I played, I think it was my first or second Ground Zero match, and I hear a bullet and I don't know where it's from. So I'm trying to figure out where I'm getting shot from. I'm kind of in the open there, kind of by that bus. And I'm hearing bullets and I don't know where it's from. So all I'm doing is laying down and I'm hearing bullets just, and I'm trying to locate where I'm being shot from. And then I had this moment I realized like, this is kind of what it would be like, right? Like if I'm getting shot at, I'd be like, fuck, where? Like that would be my actual reaction. And so then being able
totally
to,
helpless, like
I don't know, like what do I do? Like that moment, it's like that's probably like they got that right, and I think like if they get that right, like that's kind of really what matters. Which is why I was saying like I'll push through the bad UI, the janky shit, the bugs. I'll push through the like development and software engineering problem sides of it, because you can't get like that feeling right or get that wrong and then have a good game. Like if I'm getting shot from this, immediately I know where it is and I just turn on a laser to do it. And now it's just, who's aimbotting better type of game. Like I have a better mouse. I'm better at aiming. I can shoot you. Like if it's that, then it's like, I'll play any other game.
Yeah.
If it's a shooter versus shooter, but I feel like there's an aspect of it, which is like knowing how they listen to them, knowing the map layout, like knowing what kind of gun they're using, like all these other things I haven't learned yet. It's like, man, there's so much information being provided to me right now that I don't know how to use. And that scary moment. I don't think I've been able to get like that kind of scared, like, oh shit, it's like a horror game. I'm getting shot at. I don't know what to do. Like the panic, the word is panic.
Yeah.
Like being able to actually make you panic is like kind of unique to this game from what I've experienced.
Yeah, there really are like two, in my opinion, like experience peaks. You have the first, which is like literally raid number 1. And it kind of slowly sort of goes down from there. The more comfortable, the less scared you get with gunshots. It kind of starts to, it's like, nicotine or alcohol or whatever. You just kind of develop sort of a resistance to it. Then past a certain point, you really do start to learn the way that the guns feel. You learn to get around the jankiness of the movement. You learn the idiosyncrasies of the sound, where it's really good, where it's totally broken. And then you kind of come into your element where you're like, I feel competent now, where, you can kind of run around and really feel good, feel confident. And then that's like the second kind of peak. And then after that, it's that, you over time, like with most games, you kind of lose the excitement and it becomes a little, but you've got thousands of hours before you're going to hit things. So I would say, like, for sure, enjoy the time you have at the moment. And it sounds like you are.
For sure. And
like, go ahead.
What I was going to say, and I think Tarkov is a game where, like you were saying, you can already see ahead to, like, man, map knowledge is super important. And, like, the more that I learn these things, and I love that, like, basically, to go back to what we were saying earlier about, like, not wanting to speed run that exploration period. Tarkov is a game, and I'm sure, actually, I bet, just based on how complex games like PoE and Diablo are, I bet this rings true over there as well. But because of how complicated Tarkov can be, there are so many people that basically hop in and then they're like, what do I want? Like, what's the meta? Go here, do this, do that. And then the curve is like, they progress faster than the average person, but I feel like they plateau faster than the average person as well, because they just know what's meta, but they don't know why. And what you're doing is like figuring it out and like dying as a result of making that mistake. Oh, I didn't know there was a door over there. Or dying as a result of like, oh, that ammo had really low penetration. Like, that's how you learn. Like, one of my good friends, Desmond, who's like a god at the game, is a master at like manipulating the stereotypes. Like, he knows everybody says, don't ever take a left side peek. How many times have you already heard right side peeks only, man? Right peek because the gun's on your right side. So he'll swing people left all the time, and they just surprises them and he kills them all the time. Cause it's like, you don't just get the spreadsheet on like, these are the meta things and now I'm a god at Tarkov. It's learning how to use the mechanics and arriving at those like common denominators. And I imagine that's got to be very similar to like, what's the best build in PoE? What's the best rogue build? Just tell me what it is. And it's like, well, I could tell you what it is, but you figuring that out probably is going to allow you to have a better experience.
Yeah, I'd say fair enough. There's probably a couple of things going on, like in the comparison to ARPGs. Like, well, this is probably true in Tarkov too, but like the ARPGs a lot of times are like economy games. So it's like an arms race.
Yeah.
People are like trying to race. I'm assuming your guys' fresh wipes are the same way, which is like you're trying to arms race to the top.
Yep.
So people really care about what's meta because you are like factually trying to get an advantage by like economically racing. So they kind of like do that. But the part that I never really understand is like, if you're going into a game for the first time, you're not going to win the economic race. Like, you're just not. Like, there's people that are like way better than you on this way. Maybe next time, brother. Like, give it, play one, have fun. So a lot of times what I see is people will play ARPGs for the first time and they'll copy paste a build, and which is fine. I mean, if you want to do that, there's people that can do it. That's fine. But a lot of times it's one of two things. It's either one, the game doesn't do a good job with information presentation and like explanation of what's happening. And I would argue like Tarkov arguably like does a better job of that than even some of the ARPGs, because at least you do have like a death log, for instance, so that kind of shows like the bullets and stuff. A lot of times you don't even get that in ARPGs.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other part is like, it depends upon the player, because a lot of times they don't have the time. Like if I can play games all day, you guys can play games all day. We have all day. Okay. But a lot of times these dudes, like they got like 2 hours a day, maybe.
For sure.
Okay. On their days that they can play. And so they don't have time to like sit there and learn the game and do their own builds and take the 1,000 hours or whatever it is for each of these games. So they kind of have to copy paste if they want to be able to experience the rest of the game that's locked behind the progression of your character. But this game doesn't feel like one of those games. Like from what I'm aware, there's no skill-based matchmaking unless you go ground zero and then that stops at 20. You just like, you get into the game and you're just playing with everybody else, and you have a gun, and everyone's always like, no, you have to go get the ammo and get the better thing in the fist. It's like, well, dude, if I shoot him in the head, he's going to die. So it's like, maybe I'll just get a gun. Like I go to the lab. My favorite thing is I go to the labs, buy a card. I have like 300K to my name. I'll buy a card, an SKS, and like 20 bullets. Okay. And then I'll just go to the labs, because it's like, I got nowhere to go but up. If I shoot the dude in the head, he's going to fucking die.
Yeah.
And he's geared out. I'm not. So it's like, well, who cares? Like, you want me to sit here and grind like 3,000 hours of like factory to get good at the guns, and then woods to like, you know, learn about the boss or whatever this shit is. Like, no, I'm just going to take the gun and shoot the dude in the head. Like that's so it's kind of different. Like it's similar from the economical sense and some of like the knowledge stuff and like, I could get that. But also it's like kind of different because
that's fair.
This game is much more like it's a skill issue as opposed to like RPGs. It's a stat and time issue.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you will run into at some point the gear diff issue where you roll up to a guy and you go bang in the head, bang, 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 and you go, the fuck, and he turns around and just whoosh with a hatchet, because you know the ammo you were using you didn't know had 11 pen, which means there's a 0.001% chance it penetrates, you know, the helmet. But I have to ask, so did you play Diablo 2?
Back in the day, or have I played it?
Yeah, back in the day. Like I know,
because I grew up in a family where like games like that were just not allowed.
Gotcha.
So I didn't play that into my adult years.
Okay. So you probably never experienced like the G rush before, did you? Or I don't even know
what you're talking about.
Oh man, see, I don't think Diablo 3 had this. Basically, you could get to, with like a level 1 character, pretty much, you could get to like Act 5 hell difficulty. So like, you know, minus 70 or 100 resistances, you do 1 damage, and you know, you have 18 HP or whatever. I started playing Diablo 2 10 years after it came out, and I was way late, obviously, and that was like 20 years ago now, it seems. But I got like a quarter of the way through Act 1, just like, you know, slow walking with, you know, terrible gear that you pick up off the ground. And then some guy that was playing with a buddy was like, hey man, you want a G rush? And I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, just follow me. All of a sudden a portal opens up. He's like, walk into the portal. I walk into the portal. I'm like, where are we? All of a sudden the quest is done. He's like, all right, go back to town. I'm like, what the fuck? Basically, as long as you're like in the area, generally when a boss dies, you get the quest. So you can, in like 30-40 minutes, basically get to the end game with a level 1 character, and then you just are supposed to like follow bots around, I guess, until they level you up. But I just remember not knowing what I was getting myself into, getting to that point and being like, you just fast tracked me to like the end game, and I don't know fuck all about the game. I didn't, you know, like I could be level 70, I could be level 80, but it's not going to be fun doing bail runs when I like have never, you know, had level 20 gear before, you know? So like,
you know, the irony of that is I feel like a lot of times what I see is the reason people rush is like FOMO. They have like the fear of like missing. I got to get to the end game. I got to like get where everyone else is. Like I'm not part of the pack. So like they need to rush ahead. But like the real irony is like, because of the fear of missing out, they actually do miss out, because they miss why the people at the end are still playing the game love the game, because they played through the part that you skipped.
Damn.
So it's like, if you skip through that, you get to where everyone else is. You're still not in the pack, my dude. You didn't play the game to get there.
That's so freaking true. And we see that in so many areas of gaming right now, like the battle royale scene. I'm not really into the battle royale scene, but I have some friends that are, and like Verdansk coming back is like the big thing because everyone's like, take me back to Verdansk, take me back to when we were all new and when we didn't know what we were doing, and it was so fun. And like me with Tarkov, that other map came out, the Labyrinth came out, and I was like, oh man, it's like taking me back. And it is so funny how we do that, where we want to speed run through everything so that we don't miss out. And then we get to the end and we're like, man, I wish I could go back. And it's like, oh, just slow down, enjoy the ride. You know what I mean? And I know that's easy to say for like us as streamers that get to, game for 40, 50 hours a week, whatever. But it is funny to see that like that. I never thought about that before, that fear of missing out is what drives that. Well, let me just skip everything. But then you did miss out. Like that was the point of the game, was playing the game. I see that a lot of times with like pay to win games. Like I don't have any like moral quandary. Like if you want to play Arena Breakout Infinite and pay for, money, that's fine. I'm not like, handcuff you. But in the back of my head, I'm like, why play the game then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you bought ostensible, yeah, that's a free to play game, but there are games where it's like you buy the game to play the game, but then you buy to pass the game. So you get to the end of the game and it's like you bought the game twice and didn't play it. What was the point? You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of that in there where, yeah, we just like speed run it. But it's, literally as we speak, I've been playing Gray Zone for like 3 weeks and I've been like speed running the progression. And it's funny how we do that. It's weird.
Yeah, it's like, okay, if I could start my life in my 30s with a career, do I really want to skip 30 years of my life?
Dude, yeah.
Like maybe, I know it's a grind to get here, but like you still want to live those years,
Yep.
right?
True.
Yeah. I think that the metaphor holds true. So like it makes sense though, Jesse, like, because I think if I were to jump into a game, whether it was Gray Zone or whatever, it's one of the extraction shooters, I think I've already kind of gotten past that like I'm new experience. Same with BRs. I haven't played a BR in a long time, but I played enough PUBG back in the day that jumping in, it wouldn't be the same as the first time you got the chicken dinner or whatever.
For sure.
So, like if, reincarnation was real, I got hit by a train tomorrow and they're like, okay, cool, you get to spawn in. I'd be like, can I skip like the first, 16 years, maybe, like maybe I wouldn't do 8th grade again, maybe, but all the rest of it, I think I would try. And I think the same thing kind of holds true for Diablo 2, right? Like I played the fuck out of it to now every time I play, every 7 years, I just go to one of those RMT websites, spend $3 on like end game gear, G-Rush to 90, to level 90. And then I just play because I've done the main thing so many times.
Yeah.
And enjoyed the end game, just like kind of PoE, right? Like the end game is kind of, for veterans at least, I assume, is like the most enjoyable part, right? Like when you make a new character, how much from like level 8 to 15 are you like really loving, more so just getting through,
Yeah, fair enough. It kind of depends what you're doing too, because like there's people play in different ways. Like there's SSF, there's trade, there's people that speed run that literally all they do is the campaign. Like the guy right now who's like the #1, he flawlessly wins like all of the races in Path of Exile 2. All he has done like since the launch of the game is just play the campaign over and over and over again. Like he hasn't even killed the last boss yet. He just plays it over and over and over again. Yeah. And he's shitting on literally everyone else in these races. Crazy. That's what he likes. So it's like there are these people do exist, but like I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I totally understand you.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the experience, because that is true. Where like there's a certain amount of that in Tarkov too, where like the end game of Tarkov is really just the mastery of it, right? There isn't like new game plus. There isn't any sort of like real actual end game. It's just you feeling comfortable mastering, like, over 9,000 hours, and I've almost only played that game since 2018. There have been like peaks and valleys of my entertainment really all the way through. Like the minute that like a map, I remember for like the first like 2,000 hours I played Tarkov, I hated Shoreline. Shoreline was my least favorite map. The map sucks. It's so stupid. I hate it. And now it's one of my favorite maps. Chad gets mad at me because I'll go 3 days in a row where my 8-hour stream, I just SJ6 trim it all to the resort for 8 hours. Like I love fighting in the resort. And at some point during my journey, that was like an end game experience for me. It was like the connect of like mastering the resort and feeling powerful and feeling like I was using all the skills. I had good armor and I had good ammo, but I also knew how to outmaneuver you. And I also knew this map better than you. And so I could end up behind you or above you or below you. And just like that clicking was another kind of end game moment. So we do want to take a quick second and thank the sponsor for this episode of the podcast, and that is Chubbies. It is full-blown summer here in Florida. It is 7,000 degrees at all times, and that means skies out, thighs out. I've been rocking my Chubbies nonstop, literally head to toe, by the way, because I got the shorty shorts for when I'm out and it's 7,000 degrees, and also I'm still wearing their flannels when I'm inside because I keep my room at like 62 degrees, and so yeah, Chubbies has got not only the swimsuits, which I've got, I have gone full dad mode and had to like learn how to get my pool back up to snuff so that we can swim with the kids. So I'm in my Chubbies for swimming. And then additionally, their shorts are like perfect, stretchy, but belt loops, fancy, good pockets. I got I'm fully rocking the 5.5-inch inseam now. I've progressed all the way up and I'm loving every bit of it.
Oh God. See, I've got chicken wing gamer thighs down there, so I'm not rocking the shorties. Actually, surprisingly enough, when we were down in Florida, it was the first time I went like swimming in God knows how long, and literally my wife, which we're now throwing in super late, she was like, I bought you some new swim trunks, and I was like, oh shit, really? And she got on her own volition Chubbies. I was like, yo, did you use my discount code or what? And it was like, honestly, I was like, forgot how good swimsuits can be when, you know, they're quality and comfortable and they look good. And luckily she didn't get the shorts. But
you gotta.
Yeah, no. But but I've been vibing with the shorts, bro. Now that it's been getting warmer, even here in New England, their shorts are super quality. They're super comfortable. They just have everything that you would want out of them, and they look good. And when you're a tall, skinny guy like me, sometimes it's tough to get anything that like looks good or fits good, and they just
you gotta have a good base. So literally everything, their swimsuits, they have like a trillion different patterns and all sorts of different prints that are like super fun and funny. You can get anything you want. The shorts, you can choose between 4-inch inseam. I haven't graduated there yet. 4-inch, 5.5, or 7-inch inseams. So you can get whatever you want in all the colors. They also, once again, don't just do shorts. They've got flannels that I still wear when I'm inside here in the AC. They've got their whole lineup of performance polos as well. And they have some limited edition swim collection going on right now for the summer. Whether you're getting dressed for your workday, a workout, or a weekend getaway, Chubbies has you covered. For a limited time, Chubbies is giving our viewers 20% off their order with code, let me make sure I get it right, the podcast. That's code the podcast at chubbyshorts.com. Code the podcast at chubbyshorts.com. Support our show and tell them we sent you. Don't blend in with the crowd. Stand out with Chubbies. Thank you so much to Chubbies for sponsoring this episode. I see what you're saying, where like there are experiences where like the end is kind of part of it. So I wouldn't want to, which is why, I guess to your point, which is why right now I hate wipes in Tarkov. That's actually another question I have for you is like, how do you feel about wipes in extraction shooter games or in games in general? I'm not sure if like when PoE seasons or Diablo seasons, if they ever really wipe your character, but in Tarkov, in the shooter game, like how do you feel about that? Because once again, I've gone through as a new player, I was like, why would I ever want to play a game that deletes my stuff? That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And then I was like, wipes are the best because it resets everybody back to zero and everyone's on a level playing field and I get to grind again. And now I'm at the point where it's like, I've gotten that goddamn pocket watch 72 times. Please shoot me in the face. I don't want to do that again. I just want to play the game.
Yeah.
So
okay. So that's an issue with the tasks is how I feel about that. So it's like, okay,
I
so
agree.
wipes in particular, across almost any game, they reward your loyalty and knowledge to the game. So every time a new wipe comes, you're having people, come back to the game, and you're having new players come to the game because there's new hype around the game. And you, as the veterans who have continued to play the game, every single time you're stronger.
Yeah.
So it's like you're building your armament outside of just your armament. Like you're actually getting better and more knowledge, and the change, you can actually see the patch notes and know, okay, these changes mean this, and I want to use this gun because of whatever, change to this. So you guys are, you're ramping, as time goes on. So I feel like wipes can be annoying when you have to do tasks, but they also like reward the veterans while also bringing in fresh blood to the game that allow people that have not played the game to have a fighting chance, or to at least start with the people that are like your friends, and like go at the same time and play together. So I feel like wipes in some types of games, and it feels like to me, I'm speaking out of pocket because I'm newer in it, but it feels to me like this is one of those types of games. There's no skill-based matchmaking. I'm dropping into a lobby as a level 1 guy next to a level 50 with an AXMC that's sniping me from a rock I didn't even know exists. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like when there's a wipe, I am going to feel highly incentivized to play the game a lot more because I have a small bit of knowledge, and now I'm going to be a little bit better. Maybe I have a little bit of a leverage, and let's see on this wipe where I actually do stand on the totem pole the first month or what have you, right? And I can see that progression from wipe to wipe in terms of how much better I'm getting, there. And that's how I feel about ARPGs. It's like I was dog shit when I started. I got slightly better on the next season, and the last season, I like on the leaderboard doing solid and still not one of the best players, but like I can see the progression manifested over the time into the games. And so me personally, I like wipes.
Yeah.
But also, we're content creators. And so like I would be blind if I didn't acknowledge that is a percentage of it. Because if the RPGs did not have seasons, then there's a peak. We all play the game, and then it's nothing but decay forever.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a patch or something, and then it just goes to 0, and now it's okay. Now we're all waiting on the next game. We go to the next game, and then decay forever. So like these do give it peaks and valleys, and because of the seasons in Path of Exile specifically, typically last season's a bad example of this, but typically they have a very consistent cadence where it's like every 3 to 4 months there's a league.
Yeah.
And because of that, the baseline of players in Path of Exile 1 has only ever gone up. So people know the comeback on the consistent cadence. It's only ever grown. But if they didn't do that, I think it would only ever shrink.
Yeah, I wonder if like, I don't remember. So I played PoE. I never played PoE 1. I got into PoE 2 kind of when it first came out. And I think I really only played it the first, I don't know. I don't even know. Like, was the first a season technically, or
No, it was just a launch. They didn't call this. The first season was this one, 0.2.
Gotcha. Okay. So I really only played it after launch for a bit, and then kind of like shelved it until, some future point. But I vaguely recall the character progression. I mean, I think I had a few characters that were like pretty high leveled. So there's less of an investment in terms of time leveling your character in PoE than Tarkov, and Tarkov is much less linear too. There's really not that many different ways when you get, from the beginning to the end, finish all the quests and everything. It's definitely a lot more linear than a game like Tarkov, which every wipe, you can play kind of entirely differently in terms of order, in terms of the maps and everything. So I wonder if for people, because your perspective was totally reasonable and like, I think based is really the right word. Like, you recognize that being a content creator that can play a lot plays a role. I wonder if, looking at it from the perspective of, someone who's like, I really want to unlock like level 2 therapists, and I really want to do this thing, and they only play an hour a day, if it would really suck to like, to have that wipe.
Yeah.
That's true. So this argument actually happens all the time in ARPGs. You have people that will leave the comments to talk in the streams like, hey, I don't want to play the game. They constantly delete their characters. And they have eternal realms for this thing, with after the league, they take your characters and dump them to like an eternal realm where your characters live forever. And you can still play in that realm if you want, but you can play the new league. And basically 99% of people play the new league every time they stay in that league into the next one. But they have those to last. So that is somewhat of an answer. But what I always come back to is like, I understand that, and I acknowledge that is a true point, but you also cannot develop games for people that don't play them. So it's like, okay, we can develop this game for someone who can play an hour a day. And I acknowledge there needs to be tutorials and quality of life and these things to make those players be able to play the game. but we cannot shift our focus when making games to people that can't play them anyway.
Yeah.
So I get it, but also if this game was like, the Fortnite exists, like I can play that. Like, I mean, if we're going to go that level of accessibility, other games will do it better. You kind of need these like obsessive deep dive types of games that are for hardcore people, to have the hardcore people love them. And then you have so many hardcore people to keep building up, and people like me that play, and I love it so much. It's going to be my permanent rotation 100%. So, people like us do exist that will keep playing the game, and then you build up the player base that way. I think they're kind of like different marketing strategies. Or else what happens is you develop a game for like people that can't play it, and then Diablo 4 happens, and it's like one of the worst received games like literally fucking ever. Like Diablo 4 is great for those people, but everyone still hates the game. So it's hard to.
I think I completely agree with that, and I think like another aspect of it is that like a game like Tarkov. So like somebody in chat mentioned, which is very true, like there's the PvE side of Tarkov now, where your character does never wipe. And it's like you can play that with friends if you want to, but there's no PvP in that. Outside of that, in the PvP zone, it's interesting because like wipes kind of are a necessity, because even the guy that only has a couple hours a day to play, what Tarkov is, part of the magic of Tarkov is like you never know what's going to happen. You might run into somebody lower level than you. You might run into somebody of equal gear than you. You might run into somebody that has 10,000 hours that's super giga juiced. If the game never wiped, you would come to a point where like the curve would just go to the right. The more people that play would just get more gear, and then the kind of thesis of the game would shift, and the few people that are left behind because they only have an hour or two to play would just be more and more outmatched as everything just moved to the right. So even that person that thinks, man, I'm so frustrated that it wiped, if we could like branch off alternate reality and like not have Tarkov wipe for 2 years on the main PvP servers, would that even be a fun experience for that person 2 years in? Yeah, the only people left would be the people with 50,000 hours, and then the people with 2 hours, and that wouldn't be fun either. And so I really agree. It's funny that like 50 hours in, when I asked you about wipes, like you kind of hit the nail on the head, where it's like there has to be a change of progression somewhat. It doesn't have to be like this bespoke brand new progression, but that is my thing. Like that is 100% of why I actually think wipes solve a ton of problems in a game like Escape from Tarkov. And not only, we were talking about this like 2 weeks ago or something, not only solve problems with the game itself, but also it's like a baked in 2 or 3 times a year where like new people can come in and not feel like they're behind, which I think is really important, right? Like I'll never play World of Warcraft because it's like, oh my God, I'm never going to hop into that now and be like 72 years of expansions. So it's like, two or 3 times a year, there's a baked in time where this is like the perfect time to hop in if you're new. And it's a perfect time to come back if you haven't played in a while and you don't feel like you've just missed everything. So I think it's like a built-in hype machine that's really valuable. But I think where Tarkov does a disservice to its wipes is that since 2018, the progression has been largely unchanged, and that gets so tiring. They added Ground Zero. There's 5 quests on Ground Zero, and then now you're back on customs doing the same debut, which I've done every wipe since 2018. They've added more quests for sure, but they haven't really changed it. And to Veritas's point, you can say, well, I'm going to do Ragman's tasks first this wipe. Last wipe I did Jaeger's tasks first. Like you can kind of change the order, but that first 3-4 weeks is largely just the same 30 quests. You're doing the same thing. You're running into the same people. The more that people, there have been funny metas that have formed, one of the quests everyone tries to get done on day one is get Jaeger's letter, because then you do that quest for mechanic and then you unlock Jaeger, and Jaeger unlocks some shotguns and some things that you need. So at first, everybody was like, where's Jaeger's letter? And now here we are 11 wipes later, and it's like day one, you have people just like sitting in a bush by the letter, just waiting for people to come. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just been so like, the progression of Tarkov has just been so, if it's a sponge, it's just been squeezed dry, and it's like begging for a shakeup, because I think wipes are important, and I think they do really add a ton of value to a game like Tarkov, because I couldn't even begin to think of what the economy would be like 2 years into a Tarkov wipe. You know what I mean? It would just be a mess. But I think for me, it's like I just can't handle doing those same quests again in the same order. It kills me.
We would be remiss if we didn't mention the very important historical fact that wipes historically were a technical solution around a development problem.
Yeah.
Literally, they were never. It's why they're not seasons. It was they had a patch that was game-breaking changes that like a new field in the database they didn't feel like migrating, so they just deleted shit. And then people got used to it. So
Yeah,
the game
it was like an
never
accident.
developed. Yeah, like wipes was never like a seasonal kind of thing. It kind of became one, and I think largely based on the streamer sort of meta around drops and around the popularity that would spike, and they kind of stumbled upon seasons with never explicitly designing the game around seasons. Like at least Diablo and PoE, they have a season. They're like, we have a new quest line, we have new mechanics.
Yeah.
There have been times where it's like there's a wipe and we added 4 new items to this trader and 3 quests. And it's like, fucking cool, man. Like I just got all my shit deleted. I just got back in last week. And, so that's something to just keep in mind, that like these aren't fully fleshed out sort of seasons, so that when, they're planning on having 1.0 come out sometime, this year, allegedly, or something. And then I don't know if they're planning on having wipes, or if they do. Imagine if like PoE, like does PoE when they do seasons, there's not always new content? Is it just a reset?
So you both touch on what, in my opinion, are important points here in the conversation, which is yes, your answer is correct. They are around major releases in content. Like that is the point of this. They are paired with basically DLC levels of additional content. We're talking new bosses, new mechanics, new builds, balance remetas, there's a lot of additions to the game at these times. And without it, it's not really a season. You just get your shit deleted. I agree with you in that aspect.
Yeah.
In fact, so much to the point, like PoE 1, this is the longest they've been. It's basically 9 months or like 300 days or whatever it is without a season. So like this is actually coming out June 13th and everyone's hyped because, people don't want to play it. They kept having to do remixes and people private leagues and all of these different things around the same one. I didn't log in for like the last 4 months or whatever because I don't want to play the same thing again. And that's only 9 months, right? So it's like, if you guys have been playing the same shit for years, like, yeah, absolutely. You're 100% correct. I think the point that Jesse made there, like I kind of agree with as well, which is like Josh Strife Hayes has this really good video where he talks about how like hardcore PvP games kill their own games. It's because what happens is everyone shifts to the right, like you're saying. More and more players get knowledge and ability gap, and then everyone is just sitting around like predators, waiting for the new people to come into the game so that they can make them quit the game immediately. So it's like that's what would happen here, in my opinion, 100%. If you guys never wiped anything, then I join. You have 3,000 of you guys sitting there with a sniper rifle I don't even know exists yet that will penetrate anything I ever have, and you one-shot me. Here I comes little Timmy into the forest, in the woods map, trying to find out. I heard the boss is here. I don't even know you guys are sitting on that rock up there. Boom, 3 people shoot me immediately. So it's like I'm already experiencing a portion of that. And I couldn't imagine what it would be like if you guys didn't have it. But if you guys are having wipes I was under the impression wipes would be paired with seasonal content. This is new to me. That's definitely not a season. If you guys are just having shit deleted for the sake of it, that's a huge L. Like you gotta have major additions. I would think a new map every time at least.
It's changed a lot, and to Battlestate Games' credit, basically what's happened, the Veritas is right. You would be surprised at how many of the game mechanics were basically accidents. So like what's lauded as one of the like great kind of aspects of an extraction shooter now, which is kind of the genre they accidentally created, were like instance maps where the maps can really be, I think anybody that's played Tarkov would put that as like industry leading. Their map design is insane. The immersion that comes with the maps, they feel so grounded. They feel I was talking to Hambino, another content creator that plays a lot of PUBG, and he was like, Tarkov does a good job of making small maps feel big, right? Like the PUBG map is ginormous, right? But something like Streets of Tarkov would be a speck on the PUBG map, but it feels big and it feels ginormous. Their map design is amazing. That Tarkov was originally supposed to be an open world game. And what they were doing was they were like, we'll build out sections of the open world, and to test them, we'll make them these instance maps. When Tarkov first, it was just big map, small map, and it was factory and customs. And
It has small map.
Yeah.
I remember that.
now there's no way that this game will ever go open world. They do not have the technical ability to do that. So they basically kind of accidentally fell into this like instance-based, session. The timer was just, they put the timer on the map where like if it gets to 0, you go MIA. That was just because they were like, well, we'll do this until we go open world. Now that's kind of a thing. And same with wipes. So I will say that back in the day, it was exactly like there were wipes that was basically just for technical reasons. I think the shortest wipe was like a month or something because they were like, we got to change the database. We're going to wipe. And
there was like a wipe every month for a few months at one point.
And then it became like almost just a way to fix what you were talking about, where it's like, well, everyone's progressed and people are used to it, so we'll just wipe. And then we did have a dark time where it was like, this wipe, there's a new gun and 3 new quests. And it was like, oh no. But to their credit, they've kind of pulled that. Basically, I think over the years, they've basically arrived at the point of like an ARG wipe, and they're having to kind of reverse engineer that. The past like year or two, the wipes have been kind of on an incline on how much content is being added. And now they're even starting to implement more endgame things like prestige is a thing now, which kind of gives you even more to do. They're starting with like the achievement system, which for finally like there's some sort of like progression through wipes. If you get an achievement, that achievement stays with you forever. And then they add new achievements each wipe. And so they are kind of like, they kind of just kind of were like doing their thing. And then they kind of stumbled into this and then didn't really think about how it was going to happen long term. And if you've hopped in more recently, you're kind of coming in at a better time where the content has been, they're treating it a little bit more like that. This year, they've done more patches, more bug fixes, more things than any other year combined, and we're only halfway through. So they're definitely pulling the nose of the plane up. But if you've been playing since 2018, it's like there's just such an amalgamation of like, there were some really weird times where the wipes felt like just for the sake of it. They were just like, too many people are level 50. Boom, I pushed the button. But nowadays they're doing better.
Do we know 1.0 like what their plan is? Like, are there it's been so long. I legitimately forget now if what I'm remembering is like old news or if it's just like the latest thing. But once they have all the maps that they're planning and all the content, like they haven't really spoken. Like I know Nikita wants to move on to something else. There's no plan that they've communicated about what they're going to do, is there?
Not that they've communicated. At some point in the past, they said for sure wipes are going to stop with 1.0. Later, they said wipes are for sure going to continue. And then later, they said you're going to have 2 characters. You're going to have a character that never wipes, and you're going to have a character that wipes seasonally, and you can play them both. You can kind of do whatever you want. And then that was also like 2-3 years ago. So everything's been on the table, and they haven't really kind of given a good communication at like post 1.0 what it's going to look like. My expectation is that wipes will continue, and they might kind of do what they did with PvE, but on PvP, where they like give you a character to play, and they might just not really care too much about balancing that economy, but it's like for those people. But they might not, because I think PvE kind of fragmented the player base more than they thought. So maybe they might not want to do that again. So maybe they might just keep the PvE character as the character that never wipes, and the PvP character continues to wipe. That would be my guess. But they've definitely done a better job at creating that content. Maps, though, you had mentioned you like an expectation would be like a new map every wipe at least. That's what I would think. They will probably, I think there's a non-zero chance they will never release another map in this game other than Terminal, which is the map that's coming with 1.0. The maps take so long to make. Their maps, and they're always very poorly optimized at first. How's your experience on Streets of Tarkov? Like, how many frames do you get?
My experience, I actually don't have performance issues at all, but I have a pretty good PC.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's just I've heard that's an issue for people, but I can only speak through my lens.
Of course.
I don't really watch videos or watch streams. So, I mean, for me, everything's fine. Like I just put everything on max, default settings, everything on max, turn the field of view up a little bit, and then just I don't necessarily have any
That's fair.
frame rate complaints.
That's fair.
Yeah, remember how I was looking at the Discord messages
yeah,
that was
yeah.
pinned from 2020 being like, we've been waiting forever for Streets of Tarkov, and that was 2 years before it actually ended up coming out.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably that has to be the biggest map, right?
For sure. They're considering, you know how like on Factory, like on all the other maps, you're basically there's like a nighttime and a daytime and they rotate kind of in sync. Have you noticed on Factory, it's always either 3 a.m. or 3 p.m.?
I have noticed that.
Always,
yeah.
always. I don't know why they do that on Factory, to be honest with you, but that's how it is. They're considering doing that on Streets as well, basically fixing the times, because apparently a lot of processing power goes into the dynamic lighting changing as the sun rises and sets.
Yeah.
And to get some kind of like frames back for a lot of people, they're considering just fixing. And if that doesn't work, they mentioned they're considering actually splitting it into 2 separate maps, which I hope they don't do because Streets is my favorite map. But yeah,
I like the the dynamic changing the lighting and then all that's cool, but it hasn't been a big maybe in the like some of the maps like Woods. I think that's super cool because you're outdoors and you're kind of nature.
Woods is such a vibe, dude.
Yeah,
I love Woods. It's easily my favorite map, and then Factory is probably my second favorite one. So it's like I like that a lot there, but like I don't think I would miss it honestly outside of that map. As an example, like if it was just daytime or nighttime, like I don't as a new player that hasn't really been like a major. Like I don't feel like that's where my immersion is coming from, but it is a cool feature. And I was surprised when I actually noticed that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Where it's like if it's there, it adds to the experience. But for a map like Streets, I think splitting the map into 2 would be a bigger compromise. So it's like I almost wouldn't mind them trying that first so that they can keep the map because Streets is probably my favorite map. I just love the urban environment, and I love, like, once again, mastering the small map. I mean, it's a big map for Tarkov, but the small map that feels big. What are all the different ways you can traverse? That is another question I was going to ask you, what your favorite map is. You said Woods?
Yeah, Woods. Like I like Woods easily, but I think I gravitate towards the sniper rifles. Because it's just fun. I kind of like, it's weird in every other game. It's called like sniping or camping. But in this game, like if you sit in a rock and wait with a sniper rifle from like forever away and try to hit, you're a rat.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, you're a rat. And it's like, my dudes, like, you want me to run around close quarters, like peeking corners with a sniper rifle? Like,
dude,
should we delete all these guns out of the game? Am I missing something here? Like, I kind of didn't get that one, but at the same point, I mean, I've said it, gate 3 waiting in Factory just for someone to walk out there, and I scared the hell out of a guy so much he grenaded himself. So
dude,
that was a good loot. Enjoyed that.
Yes.
Did you ever accidentally choose nighttime raid and without like flashlights?
Oh yeah, that was day 1. And my very first Woods ever, like 4th map ever or something. I was just like clicking the random maps and I was just like, oh, it's nighttime and I can't see shit. And I'm like, I was seeing they're shooting the gun every now and then just to get the muzzle flash. So I could like kind of see where I'm going. So that raid didn't go great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, my first raid ever was I accidentally chose Woods nighttime. I had a Makarov with 1 magazine and then loose bullets without another magazine because like in every other game in the world, you don't take magazines, right? You know what I mean? You have an ammo and it just almost like auto switches between 2 mags.
Yep.
And I just limped around for 45 minutes until the screen faded to black and it was like, you're lost. But what was like your first raid experience? Like or I guess like first memorable raid experience?
Okay, so I went in as a scav and I played Factory. Because I just clicked on random. I happened to play Factory. And I was there and I'm like, there's dudes everywhere. And I just start shooting people. I mean, I'm dropping guys. I'm like, oh my God, boom, there he goes. Boom, there he goes. And I look over at chat like 30 seconds, 4 kills later. And people are like, you're killing your teammates. I'm like, oh,
yes,
that's a thing.
Yes.
Like apparently these guys are on my side.
Mm.
And then everyone hated me. And then I had to experience that for a bit. So I really thought I was hot shit the first round. I'm like, you got why this game's not hard. These people are just falling over.
That's amazing.
Learn pretty fast.
Man, scav on scav violence was the best. I used to love going into Factory and at the end of Factory raids, this can't be true anymore and probably hasn't been for 4 to 5 years, but I remember in like early 2018, towards the end of the raids in factories, scavs would increasingly spawn in with like the best like tier 6 sport armor, probably armor that I don't even know if you've seen before. And they used to just be like 1 out of every 3 scavs would have this armor, and that was like incredible. And there was no penalty then for scav on scav violence.
Yeah,
it was kind of like every man for themselves.
Them up.
Yeah.
These guys are getting set up
basically.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. Unfortunately, but then they introduced scav karma, and that actually scav karma and VoIP made it a totally different experience, because before you really all you had was like the wiggle and kind of the hope and the prayer that you wouldn't get betrayed. But once they added scav karma and VoIP, I think I even saw one of your clips. You said it was something, and I didn't actually watch the full one, but I kind of got the gist of it already when you're like, this game is so fun. And I just see you running on reserve with like 20 scavs around you, and you're and I knew exactly what the experience was.
Like someone said it was a hacker lobby or something. I mean, there was like way more dudes than I think can spawn in there. There had to have been like at least 25 scavs. Like they were everywhere. The whole server was lagging. Like you couldn't, the sound of bullets just doesn't stop. It's just brah, like someone somewhere was shooting. You know, you hear just everyone's. I don't know. Someone told me it was a hacker lobby or something that kept spawning in scavs. I don't even know if that's a thing. But like there was more players than I've ever seen. Like there was tons and tons of dudes just like everywhere you looked. So that was pretty cool though.
Dang. That's crazy. Yep. The scav raids. Scav raids are a super interesting element of the game that like allow you to get that experience without sacrificing your stuff. Scav raids are great. I think scav raids are super fun. They've made a lot of changes to scaving. You used to be able to scav in like 3 minutes after a raid started. So it was just like there were player scavs. I mean, there were player scavs that could get to the high tier loot spots faster than you could as your PMC. And it was like the Thunderdome. I remember a Streets raid I killed like 68 scavs. Like it was just out of control.
No, scavenging's more fun but you know, I play the game because of dopamine. Like if there wasn't RNG in the loot, I wouldn't play the game, like straight up. So you know, I like launching the scav because then I would go like click on the little eyeball. Did I get the lab access? Did I get it right? You know, so I did that. One time I had a GPU. I spawned in with a GPU and everyone's like, oh my God, get the fuck out. You're rich.
Oh man.
You know, so, that's dope. And I immediately lost it, but you know.
That's the way she goes.
Got to play the game, right?
That is something I feel like as someone who has fell in love with Tarkov and played it, you know, kind of since the beginning, and who's played a lot of the other extraction shooters that have come along. Because like you mentioned earlier, where like if you've made a game that other people are trying to copy, like even like that's how you know you're onto something. And so we've seen a big kind of surge of extraction shooters, and there's something about, and once again, you touched on it basically immediately when we asked how you feel about the game. There is something about the dopamine of looting in this game that I have never experienced before. And I don't know if that has to do with the amount of loot there is, the amount of high tier loot there is, the amount of places there are to loot, but there is just something about that rat lifestyle of just like filling up your bag full of stuff, spawning with the GPU on your scav. Like that just feels better than any other game. And I don't really know why. I don't know.
It's you know, loot acquisition is a huge selling point for most games.
Yeah.
That have it, you know. Like ARPGs wouldn't be fun without the dopamine and killing mobs. You don't know what's going to drop. So, you know, when you shoot a player, he's like a loot pinata.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, everyone's always telling me, go here, check this loot. It's like, I'm just going to run towards the bullets because that guy has all the stuff.
Yeah.
And all I want is a cool gun. I mean, but, you know, I'm monkey brain still. Like, all I want is a cool gun. Like, I don't give a fuck about the rest. Apparently, there's all these items I'm supposed to be finding in these boxes. I'm supposed to open in these bags. And I have some LEDX or some shit I've never seen in my life. But, you know, it's like, okay, that guy has a gun that I want to use. So I'm going to go try to kill him. Like, that's pretty much where I'm at with the game. You know, it's not too deep for me.
What's your favorite gun?
Well, okay, so the best raid I ever had, I was a scav on woods, which apparently is not a thing you want to do. And I ran into another scav, and the guy was like, hey, let's team up or whatever, because voice over IP is, you know, like 50% of why the game's awesome.
Yeah.
So I met another dude and I was like, let's run together. So we're like running together, right? And he domed the guy from like all the way across the lumber mill. Like there's another guy that we're on one side, like on the upper side where that rock is. And then there's another guy across and he domed the dude. And he's like, I was like, well, we gotta go get your loot. Like that's your loot. So we run over there and on the way, he's like struggling to find the corpse. And at his feet is another corpse from a different dude that guy apparently had killed first. So I'm like, oh, let me check it out. So I'm looting that guy. And he has an AXMC, which apparently is the best sniper rifle, right? I love snipers. And I'm using, whatever sniper I can get. So I picked up that one, and then he goes and loots the other one. And he gets some dog shit or whatever. And then I'm peeking around the corner with this new sniper. I'm like, I've got to try this thing. And I see a guy who's looking like, he's looking like a Chet. He's fully kitted, he's got all this stuff. So I shoot the bullet, kill the guy, and I'm feeling amazing. The highs, the lows of trying to find the corpse, the high of getting, I killed another guy, and you look at, oh my God, I'm going to get another one, right? And then immediately the chat's like, you just killed a scav. Like, that was not a player. That was a scav. So I'm like, oh, fuck. Because like I'm already struggling with the scav rep for my genocide the first match. So like I'm having to run to go get the loot. So I'm going there and he's got he looted the boss, so he has the SVD or whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, at least I got some like sick loot. He's got this armor I've never had and stuff before. And then I struggling to get out. I get out with the gun, and this is all to answer your question. The AXMC is easily my favorite gun. And I get out, and apparently the scav was a traitor scav, and I got lucky and I shot a guy that just happened to be running with the loot. That was a scav that also was a bad scav, so I got to be guilt-free killing the guy and get my new favorite gun. And it's still sitting in my stash because I'm too scared to use it.
Dude,
so fucking relatable.
Every part of that. I mean, that dude, like, that's Tarkov. That's Tarkov. It's so, dude, I completely agree with you that like VoIP is almost like 50% of why the game's cool. That type of like emergent, I find myself to the point where like I almost have more fun VoIPing the first guy I come across, and then if he wants to team up, it's like me and him versus the world. Like that's just so much more fun than just fighting everybody. You know what I mean? It's like I'll befriend one person, and then now it's me and him, and everyone else is an enemy, and I'm coming for you, because it's just like the emergent gameplay that comes out of being able to communicate with other players. And like you rattled off like that raid is like, how long did you think about that raid? Because that is the
every time.
That's the highlight. That is the highlight reel. The like finding a dead body that you didn't kill and that dopamine hit. Using that gun to kill another player. That's huge. The amount of times I've done that where I've accidentally killed a scav, and then you get to the end and you're just like hoping you don't have a karma hit, and you find out that dude was a traitor scav, and you're like, oh my God. I mean, that is it. Like that is the highs of Tarkov. And then like the next raid, I had an experience the other day. I was doing kind of like a challenge, not really, but I have a second account and I reset it, and I was like, I just set out to answer the question, how hard is it to start Tarkov in the middle of a wipe, not on wipe day with everybody else. So standard account, alpha container, small container, standard stash. I was like, let's just play and let's see how far we can get. And I had like this super fun raid. I got a bunch of quests done. I rolled up to dorms on customs. I found a bunch of dead bodies, but they were all looted. And I was like, I bet whoever won this fight ditched their gear and insurance. And I just started I started looking at every room. Lo and behold, I open a door. I find a juiced AK-12, a Koran, class 5 armor, a ULAC, a Death Shadow. I was like, yes, dude. We got out of the raid. This is another account, so this is my best kit by far. I was like, and I was literally, I was like, chat, this is Tarkov, man. This is the feeling I miss. This is so good. And I was like, I'm taking my best kit and I'm going in. Spawn into woods. 60-second into that woods raid, a guy with leg meta ammo that was laying in a bush. I never shot the gun. I had class 5 armor, class 4 helmet. I got leg meted, and I was like, that's it. That's the circle of life. It was like, you have to have the lows with the highs. And that's freaking Tarkov.
That's the difference between like Tarkov and ARPGs. You don't really go backwards very often, unless you're playing hardcore. You're not really like going backwards in the ARPGs.
Yeah,
it's like, and this I'm poorer today than when I started the day. So I am factually going backwards and have less and less items to my name.
Yeah. How much of that do you think contributes to the like what makes this game so special? Because it really is not fun to go backwards. And it's not fun to like snowball backwards when you're like really having a rough day. But there's just a magic to it, right? Like the highs wouldn't feel as high if you couldn't lose it all.
Like, I kind of don't agree that. Well, okay, well, you're right. You're actually no. You're right. It does feel bad to go backwards, but like, you have to have it. Like
Yeah.
I've seen this argument in ARPGs. It comes up all the time where it's like, oh, it feels really bad to be crafting an item and then like brick it. But it's like, look, if you can't brick an item or you can't fuck it up, that means you can only win.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want a participation trophy.
Yeah.
I never wanted one of those in my life. So it's like you want to kick someone. It's like people tell me go play PvE. It's like, well, I could do that, but I didn't buy a game to kill robots.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm here to shit on somebody or get shit on, such as the circle of life.
Yeah.
Like get good and stop whining. So like that's kind of it. So
Yeah.
I understand like going backwards doesn't feel good, but if I couldn't go backwards, I wouldn't play the game. I mean, like straight up, I wouldn't play it because it's like all that means then is it's how many hours you want to spend farming. And it's like if I want to farm and only money go up, I'll play an MMORPG.
Yeah.
Because that is permanent progression of character, of economy, of class, and I can spend the money I make to get better and better, and then I can go do PvP or something, and I don't lose shit. I'm not going to play a extraction shooter that is, you know, it's supposed to be scary, and then you died, you get to keep all your stuff, bro. Don't worry about it. And so then that opens all kinds of problems. The guy who killed me, what does he get? Nothing, because you can't just duplicate gear, right? Or else the whole game's fucked. So like you have to be able to go backwards.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I think I don't really enjoy playing like digital poker, I guess, as opposed to like real poker for real money.
Sure.
Even if it's $20, I'd rather play a $5-10 game of poker with the boys than like play online poker for fake money.
Yeah,
it's not the same, right? Like you need the dynamic range. It's the same with games. It's the same with movies. It's the same with music. You need the highs and the lows. You need the loud, the quiet. You need the happy, the sad.
Yep.
Otherwise,
has to be real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you know, you don't play an immersive game with realistic combat to have unrealistic rewards and expectations.
Yeah.
Like let me do everything that's immersive about the game except you can't lose anything, bro. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's the hardcore game with no absolutely you have to go backwards.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And it's a hard and I think, you know, you can go back like really early to some talks that like Nikita gave and some dev casts when the game was small, the community was really small. Like they really didn't expect the game to blow up because it is a big ask. You know, we've talked a lot about people who like don't have, you know, 40 hours a week to game. You know what I mean? It's like that's a big ask to be like, well, in order to make the highs high, you like to a certain extent, you can only get so far with the just like dopamine of looting a thing. You have to be able to lose it. The dynamic range, the high feels higher, not by actually pushing the high up, but by just lowering the floor. And that's it's funny how when I first heard about Tarkov, I literally thought it was the stupidest idea I'd ever heard of. Because I was like, why would I want to play a game when I lose all my stuff when I die? And why would I want to play a game where like every like 6 months, everything gets deleted? I was like, what's the point? And then I just like, there were some streamers. Summit 1G was one of the first person I watched play the game, Summit and Grims. And I was just like, man, it's interesting. And that first time you get out of a raid, like the fact that right now I have to kill like 8 PMCs in order to get the high that I got getting out of a factory raid without killing anyone.
Without seeing anyone
on day one. And then you just like get it where you're like, holy, you know, I remember the first time that like I wiped a squad solo and I was like, I was shaking because you knew that meant you made the right decision. It's similar. Like a lot of people make the example to like, it's like the Dark Souls of first person shooters where, you know, death and repetition is a part of it. And in Dark Souls, obviously you're learning about the boss and the mechanics and stuff like that. And Tarkov is similar in a way, but at the same time, sometimes in Tarkov, sometimes there's nothing you can do. There's a guy up there with a sniper. You didn't know he was there. There's literally nothing you could do. But that feeling of like learning, like I learned the gun, I learned the map, I made this rotation, I did this thing, I killed this guy, and just knowing, having that permanent risk of losing everything, it just, 100%. At first I thought it was such a dumb concept, and now I'm like, the game literally wouldn't work without it. There would be nothing magical about this game if I couldn't lose it all at any given time. It's like the foundation of what makes the game special, for sure.
So what kept you guys around for so long then? If you guys have been playing for years, and it sounds like the updates are kind of just now slowly starting to arrive, Like, what has kept the hook in you and your gills for so many years?
Yeah. So for me, it's really been like I hopped in, I started playing Tarkov. It all happened at the same time. I started playing Tarkov. It was the first PC game I really ever played. And I started streaming all at the same time. I was brand new to PC gaming. I was brand new to Tarkov. And there was something super fascinating about the game. There was something, I was just like, I was having fun like streaming and trying that out. And so I kind of made my whole brand just like, kind of like you were saying, like not being an expert, but learning. And so like a lot of my early content was like beginner guides, or like I used to do this thing, Lessons from Beyond the Grave, where I would just watch a clip where I died and talk about like, what should I have done there? Like hindsight's 2020, you know, it was just like, I'm not that good at the game. Come learn with me. And I think because the game was so complicated, that like connected with a lot of people. And I'm just a slow learner. So it took me a long time to get good. I mean, thousands of hours to get good at the game. And then by that point, I think it was really just the streaming career had kind of taken off to the point where I could do it, and I fell in love with it. And so I kind of just attached myself to the game and tried to become, you know, somebody that people could learn from. And you mentioned earlier, like the wipe structure of a game like this serves content creators very well, right? There's always something new to talk about. There's always some news. There's always some, you know, new meta where I can make a video about it. And so I think that's what really kind of kept me going for the long time. And to be honest with you, until very recently, there was just nothing out there that could scratch the itch. Like just in the past like 18 months, we've gotten like Gray Zone Warfare, Arena Breakout Infinite, Delta Force, Arc Raiders is coming out, Dark and Darker, like so many things. But up until just recently, there was nothing out there that could scratch the itch. And so I think that was a really big reason of why I just kept going on for so long, is there weren't really any options.
Yeah, I think for me too, like I started playing in November of 2017. And even then, like I was late to the game.
Yeah.
Like I was already late to the game. And yeah, I mean, obviously I came in like a Timmy. You know, my first few raids are on YouTube of me just screaming at the scavs. For the longest time, I actually thought I started watching Shroud when he was getting introduced to the game, and I watched him for like 2 or 3 hours, and him and Clean, because Clean was like kind of his Sherpa, them talking about scavs but never coming across one while I was watching them. I thought that scavs were aliens. The way that they were describing them, I was like, this is a fucking alien game or like a zombie game or something, because you never saw them.
Yeah.
The game was a lot not dead, but it wasn't as, there's a lot more scavs and a lot more players, and there's a lot more maps and everything now than there was back then. But I mean, I put in, you know, it's the streamer grind all day, every day for I don't know how many years. I played, you know, 10,000 hours straight. And like he said, right, it's just the highs and the lows. There really wasn't an experience that was quite like it. And, you know, I worked pretty closely with the developers all over the years, giving tons of feedback. And it felt kind of in a way like an investment in it for a long time. And
Sure,
I think over the time, as I, you know, just kind of beat myself down into like issues that I saw with the game that, you know, were frustrating, that had been around for so long. And, you know, you kind of lose the sort of excitement over time, right? I don't know. For me, it became more of like a toxic relationship than anything. So that's why I honestly haven't played Tarkov in like 2 years. I played Arena since then because it's just a lot less of like a mental, emotional investment, and it's more just kind of like you're on autopilot. But those 10,000 hours were some of the best hours I ever had in gaming. I mean, like, and I think for all of the reasons that you guys described, there really isn't much like.
Yeah.
It's this weird amalgamation of like BR, you know, like when you get a chicken dinner in PUBG, that experience is like nothing else, and you can have that so much more frequently in a game like Tarkov. You know, the highs are much higher, the lows are much lower.
Yep.
But yeah, that's Tarkov for me is like this bittersweet, ex relationship I had. That's it's weird to try to put into context, but
yeah.
What's been getting you excited lately?
So honestly, there hasn't been much super lately that I'm have been excited for. I mean, like I loved after kind of putting Tarkov to the side. I recently sort of replaced my favorite game of all time, which used to be Ocarina of Time, and now it's Outer Wilds. I don't know if you've ever played Outer Wilds.
I've played Outer Wilds, yeah.
I don't know if you beat the game at all, but that was.
I don't remember. I didn't play it a ton. I've 5 hours or something probably. Like I had a solid day.
Dude, that when the credits rolled, dude, I wept. Man, that fucking game was a great game. I really loved Baldur's Gate 3. It was one of the best games ever. I started to play last week a game that I think you also played a little bit in, and don't worry, there won't be any spoilers, but Expedition 33.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things about that game.
That's my prediction so far. That I think that'll be an uncontroversial game of the year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very good. There are really only a few kind of very small, very minor issues sort of with like the later game stuff where it's like a little bit of ambiguity as to like where should I go, kind of what should I do. But the story is phenomenal. The best way that I can describe it, and you can tell me like what you think and what your take on and what your experience has been. But like to me, it's a weird amalgamation of like Pokemon, Dark Souls, Magic the Gathering, Final Fantasy.
Yeah, for sure.
Like all together.
I mean, yes.
That sounds great.
yeah. That's. I mean, it is. It's okay. To be fair, I'm only like a decent way through Act 2, so I don't know where it ends, and I haven't managed to avoid spoilers. But I will say that they do several things that I'm trying to navigate through without ruining it for people. They do several things within the game that other games are scared to do with stories, as well as it's the right balance of difficult but playable. You know what I mean? As well as great, and I mean great. I think the best of the year soundtrack. Like the audio is all of the audio, but the music in general. The music is perfect for setting the ambiance. And the visual atmosphere of the game, although like the field of view is kind of like a little too zoomed in, in my opinion. But the actual like ambiance, it kind of does like what I was explaining about Tarkov, where it's like it really sets the environment. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you don't feel like you're playing a game; you feel like you're watching a movie. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
And so that is rare in games. So I completely agree. Expedition 33 will probably win Music of the Year, Voice Actor of the Year. Writing, it's going to win like almost all of them, and no one's going to give it shit, because if you do, you're kind of wrong. I mean, unless we are halfway through the year. Yeah. So I mean, we have 6 months here still, so I'm trying to put the cart before the horse. But like, yeah, this game deserves some awards, 100%.
That's awesome. I've heard really good things. I've popped into a few streams for a couple of minutes, and I mean, it's right up the alley of like the RPG that I would love to play. I haven't played much other than like Tarkov or shooter games on stream in a long time.
Sure.
But I mean I've so many people have been like, yo, this game is next level. So I was gonna ask you if you were gonna try it, Veritas, so that's funny.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I could probably finish the game like tonight if I wanted to, but I don't wanna it's one of those games that it looks this big at first, and this is enough, and this is great, and then at some point you go, "Oh, fuck!"
That's awesome.
And I don't even think you're there yet.
Probably not. I'm early still. I'm early,
and I don't even know. I don't even know what I don't know at this point. But man, I never thought that I would like a turn-based game with like quick time events. Basically,
I hate both those things.
It's
don't
so
like
good.
But it's so it makes you feel like you actually have skill when you're like playing a turn-based game. Like normally these types of games are hard to take serious if you're not like Pokemon. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, let me collect some, and then Pokemon's because you want to collect the fucking ferrets or whatever. Like it's not before the I mean the turn-based is cool, but like normally it's collecting.
Yeah.
But like the game actually does like skill or parry. Like I hate parrying in games. Like I played Elden Ring, never parry once, dodged the entire fucking time. You know what I mean? Did all about dodge everything. So it's like I refuse to parry in these games.
That's funny.
That was the first one where it's like this actually feels good. Like they
Yeah.
did the annoying mechanics in a way where it's not annoying. And like the slow-mo, right, when you're like destroying stuff, like they really got it right. It's
That's
hard to
awesome.
So
explain unless you
satisfying.
play it, but they really like they made everyone who doesn't like those types of games like those games. And I feel like that's when you got like a fucking masterpiece,
That's
Yeah, dude, like the
awesome.
death animations and all the characters have their own unique shtick, and I really, really super enjoy it, dude. And it is one of those games that, like, if you're level 1 and you're a god, you can go and fight and beat anyone. It would just take you like 20 hours to beat a guy, but like you can do it.
That's
It's
cool.
pure skill based, but oh man, there are a few fights that I've not quite, I didn't shatter my Xbox controller like I did with Elden Ring, but there are a few times where it's like, and I like how they have like the rhythmic elements where it's like you gotta parry, parry,
Yeah.
parry, parry. You're like, no, fuck, it was the 6th one, not the 5th one. And it's like, no. And then you die, you get one shot, and it's like, yeah, run all the way back. But it really is really satisfying when you're like, you come to a lot of fights where you're like, feel like a little underleveled, but if I just can grind it, I can get it, right?
Exactly.
And it feels
That
earned.
was exactly the experience I had, because there was a couple times we were playing and I played with my girlfriend. Like I'm playing it off stream because like I just want to enjoy the game. Like I don't want to have any like outside elements. I don't have the chance of being spoiled. I don't want all this stuff. I just want to play the game. I'll get back to you. So like I'm playing with my girlfriend, and it's the best way to play it because we both love playing games together. And we had a few times where it's like, well, she'd be like, well, you can go level. Like you can go get some. It's like, no. No, like I'm gonna sit here and pound my head against this like the dog shit player I am for like an hour until I can like, whoa, we're gonna be it now. It's gonna take a moment. I'm gonna have to get good, but we're gonna be it.
That's so
I had that first realization that you go to that one little like pink forested area where there's like, I don't even know, that little round kind of guy, and you like go to attack him, and I'm like, okay, cool. I've been doing well, fairly balanced kind of the whole way, and then you go to attack the guy and his health bar goes, and you're like, oh,
yeah, and you're like,
I shouldn't be. That's what danger in all red letters meant when I was in the. That's what that meant. Okay, well, that's noted. I'm gonna come back to this one later.
That's awesome.
It's so good. What? Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Well, if you were gonna keep on Expedition 33.
No, I mean, I don't have much, I think, left on there.
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of like, so it's interesting to hear you say already that you're like interested in keeping Tarkov in your kind of permanent rotation, and then speaking of the games where the game is so good that it like taught me to love a mechanic I thought I was going to hate, or I did go in hating. And we've been talking about like all these different extraction shooters coming up. Did you get a chance to play Arc Raiders at all during the playtest, the most recent playtest?
I didn't. And honestly, like I said, I thought I was gonna hate Tarkov because like the concept of extraction shooters is not my thing.
Yeah.
So when I played it, I was like, I'm gonna try it, but like I'm expecting this to be a one day like excursion, and it just ended up not being. So Arc Raiders was not on my radar, but I've heard so many good things, and after playing it, now it is on my radar. I'm not really sure when it's out or how to get access to any of that stuff. Now it's been on my radar this week.
Yeah. That was so that's it's a third person extraction shooter. So like the third person camera, and I hate third person PvP games because I just don't like PvP. I don't mind third person games. But PvP games where you can just, put your nose in the corner and see down the hallway, like I always hated that. And Arc Raiders was a game that like I could talk about it for hours. But I was just interested to hear your thoughts if you had played. But I would say if you like Tarkov and you like the extraction shooter genre more than you thought you would, whenever we know Arc Raiders is coming out in 2025, I would say give it a chance whenever it comes out, because it blew me away. It was the first time I've played a lot of extraction shooters, every single one, looking for something to do other than just Tarkov. And I feel like an 11-year-old again with how excited I am for Arc Raiders. Like I feel like it's 2010 and I'm like reading the Game Informer magazine waiting for Skyrim 11. Oh my God, I'm so excited. And I haven't felt that way in a long time about a game. Arc Raiders does a lot really well. And in that same way you were talking about Expedition 33, where like I went in and the whole first couple days I was like, man, if this was just first person, it would be so sick. And I've like fully come around. I'm like, there should never be a first person mode in this game. It's perfect the way it is. They were cooking. They were, you know what I mean? And so
yeah,
it's another game where the devs just really like knew what they were doing. And so I'm excited.
Well, I mean, you're mirroring the sentiment that I've been hearing from people.
Yeah.
So it's probably one of those games that I'm going to have to try just because that's kind of continually what I've heard from people. It's like, it's really good and you got to try it and all these things.
Yeah. Yeah. So
What are you looking forward to, or
yeah, anything on your horizon?
Yeah, absolutely. So Path of Exile 1 is having their first league in like forever, which is going to be June 13th, because it's, you know, with the release of Path of Exile 2, they got like behind the 8 ball and they had to focus on the new game and all these things. So because of that, just, you know, it's like I said, it's 300 days or whatever for without a PoE1 league. So that is launching June 13th. And Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 are like kind of different in a lot of ways. So, you know, I find myself missing a bit of Path of Exile 1. So I'm 100% going to be playing that when it comes out as well. And then I was kind of hyped for Night Rain, but after playing it yesterday, I'm kind of like mid on it. So that kind of puts me back into like just kind of waiting for the Path of Exile, you know, 1 league to come out.
Is that the Elden Ring game, Night Rain?
Yeah, that was the Battle Royale, like Elden Ring game.
Oh, gotcha.
Like,
okay.
Battle Royale.
Gotcha.
Elden Ring game.
I don't think I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out yesterday, so it's kind of in the middle of like its launch weekend here. It was mid. It has mixed reviews, and it's one of the first times I've seen mixed reviews where I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah. I saw a few people playing it yesterday, and I don't know much about the, you know, Elden Ring kind of game or what this was, but I saw a couple people playing it, so that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a battle royale, but I played Elden Ring. I thought Elden Ring was like maybe the best game I've ever played. Like it's, you know,
that's
top
awesome.
3 for sure. So it's yeah, I was kind of hyped for that one, but then after playing, I was kind of like,
Nice.
That's awesome. Probably the Path of Exile 1 league would be my like what I'm looking forward to next for sure. Because that's in the RPG cycle, and I'm kind of in my off season right now, where I just kind of play whatever I feel like, which is how we arrived at Tarkov.
Dang.
One of these days, I'll check out PoE 1, maybe.
Yeah, if you're new to the Path of Exile, and you're enjoying Path of Exile 2, I mean, you can kind of just wait for Path of Exile 2 to finish creating itself. Really, I mean, you could check out PoE 1. I think it's the best RPG created at the moment, but it's you know, like it's like I'm sure you would explain with Tarkov, like you really have a lot to learn because it's been out for so long.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Word.
I genuinely didn't even know they were still making content for that. I thought it was like an Overwatch 2 CS2 situation where like this game replaced the other game. I didn't know they were so. That's cool though that they're continuing. I mean, obviously you said it's been a
separate but equal type of thing.
Gotcha.
Like they're developing both of them basically. It's their concept.
That's cool. That's dope. Yeah.
Word, man. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Dude,
I really appreciate you being accommodating and last minute with everything and stuff. So
yeah, sorry about having to delay a day. I know we were set for yesterday, but
we do that all the time.
I forgot I double booked.
Yeah, no, we move it around all the time. We're super flexible. Yeah, seriously, thank you so much. It was great to meet you. It was awesome talking to somebody about like, obviously I've been super passionate and involved in Tarkov for so long. It's so cool to like hear someone's brand new experience. And yeah, we appreciate you making the time for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite. It was good to talk to you guys. Like I see a very professional setup. I like the look of each of the backgrounds here. Very, very clean.
We try.
Mine's not as clean. There's just kind of shit and cats everywhere. So
hey, that's awesome.
No,
I love that.
We're all gamers. Okay, you can't see what's off the frame.
Yeah,
it looks.
I was cleaning
all
up
the
all the trash
bags
under my desk earlier today. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, there it is.
Anyway, right on. Everybody, go. We'll have links for Darth's like
YouTube,
Twitter,
Twitch,
YouTube, all the things. So go check him out. Show him some love. His content's fantastic.
Yep.
And again, we appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you. I appreciate the invite, boys.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay. Till next time.
Dude.
Peace.
Peace.